heaven. Marketing has a terrible name, but I actually think it's super noble. If you can give people huge dollops of value and at the same time make a good profit, that's awesome. People that think marketing is trying to scam people out of something, that's not the way I want to do business. But I kind of sold my soul to the devil. Cigarettes, bars, gaming, promotions, events, concerts.
All the good stuff.
Pretty fun.
I want to bring up AI with you and what you think.
There's always the shiny new thing, you know. The internet was pretty scary, but it's a tool. Marketing for me is about one word, customer, but the right customer. Facaldo oggi.
Okay. We just met.
It just got personal. Favorite cheat meal?
Did you say cheap or cheat?
Cheat.
We don't worry about pricing.
Yeah, we're not talking prices.
Let's connect.
Let's go. Welcome to the Connect podcast, and I'm really excited for our upcoming guest. He's the head of marketing for Inspirations Paint, been a long-time friend of mine and helped me through the struggles and the journeys that I've been through in the paint industry. But I'm not going to bring him out. I want him to just actually tell us who he is. So Joel Goodsir, who is Joel Goodsir? Tell us.
Thank you for having me on the Connect podcast. Very excited to be here. Look, I'm a Sydney boy. And look, I got working young. My mum dragged me to the offices she worked in when I was 12 years old in Crow's Nest. So we're cleaning these offices every Sunday. You got to clean the toilets, put the gloves on, mop the floors, put the bins out. You're mopping, you're vacuuming, you're dusting, you put the bins out, you get $50 cash in hand. Now, in 1988, when you're 12, you can buy a hell of a lot of Milky Bars with $50 cash. So you started working young, and I was always in retail, Ben. So I worked in a chemist. I worked in a, you boys are too young to remember, Fuji 1 hour photo places. You drop off your film.
Fuji.
Yeah, drop off your film. An hour later, you pick up your 24 or 36 doubles if you want, if they're good picks. So, I was stirring the chemicals, probably carcinogenic with my finger, and chopping, the negatives and putting them in and sell. And, first time in retail selling stuff, using the point of sale, writing price tickets. We sold cameras and film and merchandise and all that. So I was always in retail, and then I worked as a waiter. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because I've been always really hands-on, started young, and I think it's been my parents handed down that work ethic. And I kind of think everyone should be a waiter or a waitress in their career, because you're dealing with people who are hungry and often rude. Yeah. And, I think it's very humbling. And so I was 15 in Crow's Nest there, serving the Mossman mums. They wanted their mocha lattes at 83 degrees, and they were really
Real Housewives.
Yeah, pretty full on about it. And so always retail, and then at high school I kind of did business studies and really got into that, and then I went to uni up in Newcastle and did a Bachelor of Business in Marketing and HR. But again, I worked in retail. I worked at a camping store in Newcastle, and indoor rock climbing gym. So I did manage a gym.
Nice.
As well. And so it was always retail, right? And so I got a real passion for that. And I think in Australia, the GDP of Australia, at least half of it comes from retail. People talk about mining, it's like 3%. Health is probably 30%, education, but I'd say the largest part, I need to fact check myself there, but retail's massive industry. Think about all the employees, Coles and Woolies and everyone. So I'm really stoked I've had my whole career in retail, and I love it.
So you go from obviously building a level of resilience, right? Working in retail and understanding, what a customer needs and those. So when did you step into marketing?
Cool. So yeah, I did marketing at uni, and my first job outside of it, for any marketing graduate, is do I go agency side or client side, right? So ad agency, market research agency, PR agency, media buyer, or do I go for a client, a business, a McDonald's or whatever? So I got offered advertising agency, 23 grand a year. I was like, nah, man, I've been at uni for 4 years. I can't do it for 23 grand a year. This is in 1998, 99. And then client side, 42 grand a year. Yes, please, I'll take that. But I kind of sold my soul to the devil. I went into clubs. So it was with Newcastle Workers Club that later got bought out by Penrith Panthers. Poker machines, alcohol, cigarettes, bars, gaming, promotions, events, concerts.
All the good stuff.
Pretty fun. So that was fun. You're driving in marketing in clubs. What are you doing? You're driving membership. You want tens of thousands of members and you want to join them up. So acquisition, always need more new customers all the time, fill the top of the funnel with more new customers, and then retain them and get them to repurchase, buy concert tickets, come to that raffle, this new restaurant opening, have your birthday party there, just constant, repeat purchase. And it was fun for a while, but it's pretty unhealthy. I was eating, the roast of the day every day, smoking cigarettes, having 10 cappuccinos. I was a big fat guy, and I was like, this is terrible. I got to get out of this.
Well, straight out of uni, do you go to a project-based employment? Are they giving you different roles, or what do you actually do when you go straight from uni marketing into a job?
Yeah, on the client side, I was really lucky. I went in as the marketing manager of this big club that turned over $30 million.
Oh, that's massive.
Was that straight away?
Straight away. It was my first job.
Out of uni, straight into a marketing manager?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Really, really lucky. Reported to the CEO, attended, had to do board reports every month, attended the board meetings, presented those reports, got absolutely grilled. I was 23. I knew nothing.
Did you fudge up the resume or?
No. I did some really cool projects in my final year at university.
Yep.
And the CEO at the time was really taken by this project. We did one on Qantas and we did one on plastic wine corks, because you remember back in, you guys are too young, but corks were made of cork and there was no such thing as screw tops yet, and everyone had plastic wine corks. It was like, is this thing going to stick? And we were like, no, we don't think it's going to stick, and it didn't. You can't find a plastic wine cork now. But so the CEO is an interesting guy. He really likes some of these projects I'd done on Qantas and whatnot, and he gave me a shot. I was really lucky. Yeah, but I think that's been my whole career, over 25 years now, always been a manager, always reported to the CEO, always had a seat or a voice on the board. And for me, a lot of people try and climb the ladder, and it's really hard and you slip down. And I guess I've been blessed that I've always been there, but I kind of have stepped up to that always.
It's just that kind of luck of being able to show your knowledge at that specific moment in time. Whereas people are looking for that specific moment over years to get in front of that person.
Yeah. The other thing is, I was just going to say finally on that, a lot of people I've got to climb the ladder by working hard. I was more like, I've just spent 4 years at university. I feel like I'm a strategic weapon. I got so much information. I want to get out there and apply it. And the CEO at the time wanted someone who was strategic and not just tactical. So it wasn't about just being a rock star and working hard and churning hard. It was about thought, this guy that can come in and make big decisions. So I got into this role at the club, and they were giving away $1 million a year in free dinners on the poker machines. And I'm like, I reckon if we cut this and we'll save $1 million, and I don't reckon bottom line profit's going to drop. And we did some analysis, and everyone was shitting themselves because they thought, if we cut this, everyone's going to leave. We're going to have no customers left. Sure enough, we did it, and revenue fell. And I'm like, forget that. Look at the bottom line. Net profit, flat line, did not move, did not lose 1 cent. But we got out of this discounting mentality because we thought we had to discount to survive. Discounting is poison. So for profit, right? So that was why he hired me, for that strategic thinking. And I think that's always been something that I've loved.
So Penrith Panthers, then where? How does Joel, you've been with our company as head of marketing for 21 years. I mean, that's a mean feat in itself. Yeah. But
switching from Panthers to
it's a jump to paint, right? Did you play with paint? Were you interested in paint? What was it?
I'd never played a poker machine before I started with Panthers, and I'd never held a paintbrush before I started Inspirations. And for me, the product's actually not that relevant. It's more about being like a kick-ass business person and marketer and applying that to what is the customer market? Which targets are we trying to position ourselves towards? What is our company, its values, its resources, its funding? And let's match that up so that we point all our weapons at the right customers to extract maximum value in terms of profit and to give them maximum benefit as the customer. And that's where, there's a match made in heaven. Marketing has a terrible name. I actually think it's super noble. If you can give people huge dollops of value and at the same time make a good profit, that's awesome. People that think marketing is trying to scam people out of something, that's not the way I want to do business.
Stay on that a little bit. Why do you think people think like that about marketing?
They think marketing's sales, and sales is like a subset of marketing. But marketing, to me, if you want to define it, is all about the customer. So the marketing person should have no bias. They should be able to take all their hats off and just be like, hey, customer, what do you love? What do you hate? What do you need? And soak all that up and be able to be smart enough to go, there are different types of customer. Not all customer is profitable. Not all segments are profitable. Not all are going to be, they're not going to want what you're selling. So what is it you're selling? Find the people that really want that the most. And that could be demographic, like age or lifestyle stage, but it's probably more going to be what we call biographic or psychographic. So it's more like the type of lifestyle you have. So you run a gym, right? So there are people that live a certain lifestyle that you're going to want to target, and they're going to be your best customers because they're going to come to the gym all the time and they're going to be committed and they're not going to waste your time and you're not going to waste their time. Because if you spend all your advertising dollars trying to acquire new customers and they're not the right type of customer, then it's wasting your money and it's wasting their time. They're not happy. You're not happy. Like, why are we doing this? So marketing for me is about one word, customer, but the right customer.
But how do you find that, not being in the industry? How long does it take you to find out what is the ideal customer?
Yeah. So look, when you're in big business, you'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on market research with these agencies to do cohort analysis and all this kind of stuff. But in smaller business, you just got to ask the questions, and it won't be statistically significant to a 95% confidence interval. But if you can ask hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of your customers key questions about how often, some of them you don't even need to ask, you can get it out of your data. How often do they shop with us? What's their average shopping basket size? What type of products or services are they purchasing? Are they the low end or the high end ones? And you can kind of segment your customers without even talking to a customer, just based on your sales data, right? But then you start talking to them and then match that up. What type of people are buying the high value services and products? What type are buying the ones that I don't make a lot of margin off? How frequently are the people buying the high level ones, the low level ones? What's the average size? How many times do they shop? Getting a feel for it, and that kind of forms them into buckets. So we have 6 buckets in Inspirations Paint, and we got fun names for them. So our number one segment, they're 20% of the market, and this is on the retail side, mum and dad's painting their houses, adventurous DIYers. They love to paint. They love to talk about their project. They want the person in the shop to match their passion and their energy about it. They want to talk about it, and they're confident, but they like extra tips. And if they do it, and they do a great big wallpaper wall or feature wall or kitchen cupboards in bright mustard orange, and it's no good, they'll do it again. You know, they're painting forward people. So you're selling to the converted. They're the least price sensitive, so we make the most money. And there's lots of them. It's 20% of the market. There's another group called advice thieves. They're younger, they're more female. They come in, they get all the advice, and they go to Bunnings and buy it because they think it's cheaper, even when it's not. So we have a really good understanding. We spent $50,000 in 2012 on that segmentation thing. I understand that's way too much money for smaller businesses, but this is the type of thing you can do it on the back of a napkin just by looking at your sales data in your system and asking some key questions of your customers.
How would you know what buckets the customer would be in when they come into a shop? Because to me, we measure part of our data when we make when we bring on new clients and different types of jobs and our invoicing, so we can look at it strategically. And I love this conversation, by the way. But we do that by drop down tabs when we're putting the information into our job management system. If Ben was running the paint shop or there was an Inspirations Paint and a customer just came in, how would you measure that customer to be an adventurous buyer?
Absolutely. So there's a few questions, and these guys, we don't teach them how to do this. They just do it organically. There's questions they can ask that, you're painting, have you painted much before? Because we know one of the key determinants of which segment you're in is how experienced a painter are you. So if you're a first timer, he's going to feel it in his gut, right? Or if they've come in and go, mate, it's my 10th house. I know what I'm doing. I've got investment properties. I got this, I got that. You suss it out really quickly. You ask them key questions that are in our training thing. Oh, where you're up to with prep. Prep, what's prep? Okay, this guy's a novice. Oh, yeah, I've sanded everything down. I've done this, I've done that. I know about adhesion and abrasion. And Ben's like, I know this guy is an adventurous DIYer, right? And he's not asking about price. So he's definitely an adventurous DIY. The guy that's coming and going, how much can you do for a Berger 10 litre, blah, blah, blah. I can get it down the road at $60. Yeah, mate, go down the road.
Yeah.
So we don't have to train a lot of it because that's just really authentic to what the guys do every day. But once you know what your buckets are and who the ones are that make you the most and are positioned the right way for your offering, then you can ask just one or two or three or four questions and you'll understand immediately which bucket they fall into.
So you're training them to, because like you said, they know how to identify it. You're just training them to say the appropriate questions to get the best outcomes.
Yep.
And then when the transaction gets put in the system, do you put them under a certain category?
We don't even. I would love that, but if I tried to tell our 600 staff across
at scale, it's going to be a nightmare.
They'd just tell me to nick off. We're not doing that. We're too busy tinting it, carrying it to their car, recording it. Like it's a bridge too far. Yeah. But we use the data in other ways.
Yeah. How many stores are there nationally now for Inspirations Paint?
Yeah, so there's 111 stores that are branded Inspirations Paint. There's another 25 stores that are in like our buying group, and they're in every state and territory, 40 odd in New South Wales, 25 odd in Queensland, 15 odd in Vic, 12 in WA, 5 in Tas, 5 in SA.
And the lineage is so special to the Inspirations brand. You know, a lot of us are very connected to the mission and to carry the torch and continue what we've actually achieved as a group. Tell us a little bit about that, the story of the Guy family.
It's a great story. So in 1979, there was a bloke called Barry Bazza, or you'd never call him Bazza. He was a pretty scary dude. So Barry, I have a lot of respect for him, Barry Guy, and he worked for Dulux and he was a state manager. He was a Newcastle area manager, and they offered him state manager, but he said no. He's a fiercely loyal family guy, didn't want to be in Sydney away from his family. And but what he saw in the market was there was hundreds, if not thousands, around Australia of these tiny little paint stores, independent, all under different brands, all doing their own little struggle in their 3 to 5K patch. And he was like, I reckon if we got a few of these together into a buying group, we could go to Dulux and get better prices on the paint we buy. Yeah. Pretty basic concept.
Yeah.
And so he called it 3D Paints, and it stood for Dulux Discount Decorators. But he got 5 hardware stores. They weren't even paint stores. 5 Newcastle-based hardware stores to form a buying group in 1979 to band together to negotiate better prices. And Barry was a great negotiator. And then he drove around the country with his wife Val and his 3 sons, Robert, Alan and David, in the four-wheel drive because they love four-wheel driving, camping. He was a photographer. And they would drive all around the country. And every town they would go into, Barry would pull over, leave the Val and the boys in the back and go in and sign up the local paint store to 3D Paints. And by 1983, he had like almost 100 stores.
Yeah.
Like it was wild. He did the hard yards and he'd only need like 30, 40 minutes. And the boys are in the back of the car going, this sucks. Come on, Dad. And one of those boys, the eldest, Robert, has been our CEO for the last 22 years. So he took over the mantle from his father in the early 2000s. And Robert was like amazing because he was a mining engineer, worked in Asia, and had his own business importing and exporting between India, China, and Australia, all this diagnostic mining and safety equipment. But he had an MBA, super smart guy. I've got so much respect for him. That's why I've been in the role for so long. And he came home and Barry was like, we want you to take over the business. And he did. And since Robert and I have been there, we've grown it from 90 million turnover to 350 million turnover in that 21-year period.
Robert was actually in my shop yesterday, came to visit. Talking some new strategy and operation. Like, you know, he's on the ground when he needs to be. He's got a great team, and we do call him the engineer. You know, he's by far the smarts behind a lot of what has happened over the last 20 years in our paint industry. We are the main distributor for Dulux, which is a massive entity in itself for people that don't know how big Dulux are. They're huge. And we sell 65% market share, right, of their paint. Is that what's the stats?
It's 53% of all the Dulux paint that is sold to professional trade painters is through Inspiration stores. So the fact that we sell more paint through our stores than Dulux sell through their own stores shows how big we are. We're the largest paint store chain in the country, and all the other ones have fallen by the wayside. So Bristol used to have 120 stores. They've now got 30 or so. Paint Right, 20 or so. Paint Place, 30 or so. They've all been over 100 at times, and they've all fallen away. And we're the biggest and kind of the last one.
And do you know, without, I know you're rival of them, but can you point your finger to where their downfall has been?
Yeah. It's all about the relationship with the manufacturer. So we've been in bed with Dulux since forever, and they're the market leader, and we haven't messed them around by stocking Waddle and Taubmans and, we've played their game and they've supported us with that. Paint Place used to stock everyone. And so when Waddle pulled the pin on their trade agreement, they were screwed, and they just hadn't committed. The advice is get into bed with the biggest player. If you're going to commit to them, uphold your commitments and make sure they uphold their end. And we've done that very successfully.
I'd say there's a level of loyalty and relationship. We've worked really hard and still continue to work hard with Dulux to build our strong network and relationship. And there's a huge loyalty factor, where most shops are strictly aligned to Dulux, and we hand on our heart, only sell Dulux. I was a painter by trade before I'd stepped into this distribution retail model. It was all new world for me. I knew the application side of it, but never sold a can of paint, but one thing I did know when I came into it, I'd only ever used Dulux paint. If I walked onto a project and I was quoting the job, I told the customer then and there, I'm only using Dulux. And quite often I'd actually win the project because it was peace of mind for the customer knowing that I was going to use the market leader.
Superior product.
The brand that they knew. Yeah. I've seen surveys go out in the past where you can ask a young child, give me 3 paint brand names. They know who Dulux is.
That's right.
Or if they see that dog, the Dulux dog, which was a significant brand awareness.
Yeah. Well, when you got a great product, it's up to you to just provide a great service to meet that. And then that's where,
well, let's talk on that, because if you're talking service and customer experience, you've got the man in the house that beats this drum. Price is never the forefront of the conversations for us as a group. It's always about value and service. Why do you brand us like that?
Yeah, okay. There's a lot in
huge
that.
Question. It's a loaded.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like to talk about, it's cool hearing you guys talk about mission and whatnot. There's lots of different names for it. So some people call it guiding philosophy, brand DNA, company vision, mission, whatever it might be. And at Inspirations, we call it guiding philosophy. And we did a lot of work in 2009, 10. Won't go into all the details, but basically we put our flag on top of the mountain and we live or die by the service that we give, but we call it personal attention to your painting project. So don't care if you're a commercial tradie doing a skyscraper or Mrs. Smith repainting her laundry, we will give personal attention to that project. And that means genuine giving a shit, caring, asking questions, understanding, selling them everything they need, not selling them the stuff they don't need, selling them the things and giving them the advice to make it quicker, cheaper, easier. We want them to, painting sucks, right? We want them to enjoy it as much as they can, or at least not hate it, so that they'll do another project. So this personal attention to your painting project, we call it like our big arrow. Every single person knows the direction we're heading in. Now, the beautiful thing about having this purpose or this guiding philosophy, this mission, this big arrow, is it stops you wasting time and money. So when someone comes to you, and every year, 2025 will be no different, there's a big new thing. Oh, it's AI. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's shiny robots, whatever the hell it is. And every business person is like, shit, do I need to get onto the shiny robots? And most of the time, those things are a distraction from your mission, from your big arrow. And the problem is if you follow too many of them, you get off course, you lose focus of what your goal is, you divert resources, funding, people, time, energy, and all of a sudden you're 10 arrows, 10 small arrows going off in different directions and you've lost it. So part of our success has been defining that purpose in 2010, 2011, and it has not changed. It has not wavered. We talk about it all the time. And our competitors are no different. Bunnings is awesome at this. They only ever talk about how lowest price is just the beginning. They don't talk about anything else.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. Your customers get bored of your stuff a lot less quickly than you and your staff get bored. So the staff are like, oh, Joel, are we still doing this? What's your next project thing? And can't we talk about something else? No, we can't talk about something else. We need to talk about this every time, every day, in every touch point, online, digital, offline, word of mouth. Let's get famous for being one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
So you started that focus on the mission in 2010 and 2011. How long do you think that actually played its course to start seeing the numbers?
Look, I never think there's no silver bullet. I don't think any of it is a silver bullet. We're always looking for the one thing that's going to shift the needle like immediately. And I just can't even answer that question. But what I will tell you is it was the hardest time I've had in business, trying to get everyone on board, get buy-in, and get everyone to agree.
Because you're dealing with business owners as well.
Right, man.
You're not dealing with employees in a way.
There's 84 business owners who are all, business people in their own right, and they're all marketing geniuses, right?
Yeah.
And so the point, Patrick, is at our Sydney conference in 2013, so a couple of years after we'd launched this purpose and the subsequent branding that you're seeing here and the slogan and everything had been in market for a few years. One of the guys came up to me, the store owners at the conference, and said, Joel, for the first time, I'm proud to wear this shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, that's huge. It wasn't because the numbers moved. It was just that people felt part of the tribe. And that's what you want, because you want people to buy in, like proper, authentic buy-in. And when I saw that and everyone started going, yeah, we're going to wear this shirt. We're going to paint our stores the same color. We're going to have the brand. We're going to all answer the phone Inspirations Paint and not, because before that, there was 130 names. Ben Smith's Painting Co-op 3D and, so standardizing everyone. You asked about the importance of brand. So it's important for multiple reasons. One is because customers don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your company. They don't want to care. They don't want to know. They see 5,000 ads a day. So having one brand and being known for one thing is super important. Two, it's cheaper. If you're all called the same thing and you're all using the same paper bags and business cards and vehicle signage and, then it's more efficient. And you just need to get known. So you need to be saying the same thing over and over. So I know I already touched on that, but it's so very important.
I think one of the first things that when going into business was I was told it takes 10 or 11 times for someone to see your brand or your message before they kind of it resonates with them and they remember you.
Mm-hmm. I think now it's a lot higher.
Yeah, with so much brand and social media and everything. Yeah.
I want to go back, Joel, where you were trying to get everyone on board and you mentioned there was resistance from the crowd. You're dealing with all these business owners and they're not as sold on the vision.
And they're older, so they're old school.
And marketing geniuses and business owners and they're dealing with their own shit or whatever it is. How would you work the resistance? You're selling this concept to a group of people. How would you work that?
He's come from Panthers trying to tell us what to do.
Exactly. And also, because I had a couple of degrees, a lot of them were like, who's this bloody, uni upstart, thinks he's all like a professor because I taught at the uni as well, you know. And so I had to really show them that I'm down to earth, authentically wanting this to work and wanting to help them make the most money they can. How we did it was we flew 40 of them into Sydney 4 times for workshops.
Paid for their flights, accommodation.
Everything. We did it at the Holiday Inn in Mascot Airport. I remember it clearly. And we got an independent facilitator to come in and ask us all these questions. So it wasn't Joel from marketing telling us who we are and how we're going to do it, because that guy sucks. The marketing manager in any franchise group is always the guy.
And with a name like Goodsir.
True. So this guy came in and said, look, what makes the most successful paint store? What are the attributes? What matters? What doesn't? It was a really amazing process. We went through a lot of navel gazing, but you come out the other side with your purpose, your guiding philosophy, the type of values you have, the type of personality your brand is, using, Jung's 13 brand personality archetypes, and where ours is the everyman, down to earth, not airy fairy, practical, and I think that's really important. Because although you might be dealing with Mrs. Smith from Mossman one day who wants some amazing color scheme, most of the times you're dealing with Jono and that Chinese painter and that Middle Eastern painter, and you can't be airy-fairy with those guys.
Agree. I think one thing that's really cool about Joel is he actually understands who we are, and obviously spent some time with that. When you work with different marketing agencies, sometimes it takes them time to actually understand, who you are as a brand.
And you want them to buy into it, not just be told that this is what they have to do, whether they like it or not.
So to finish that, they came out of it, they said things like, we had a big list. Here's all the places we think we're at now, things we do well. Here's where we want to be. And they said it, lofty goals. They were things like best paint store in Australia, top of mind when it comes to all things painting. We're still not there. We may never be there, but we have goals which they came up with. And then all this stuff around project they came up with, and the guiding philosophy they came up with. So that's how you do it.
And is it sort of building this inspiring vision to the crowd and talking to them about what that vision is going to look like to bring them on board, or is it just grabbing all the information, going back, and then selling the vision to them at another time?
I think it's the second one. It's the latter. So we started off by doing a bunch of research with customers first before we got the guys in for the workshop. What do you love about shopping at Inspirations Paint? What do you hate about shopping at Inspirations Paint? What do you like about shopping at Bunnings? What do you like about shopping at Bristol, Mitre 10? And so got all this feedback. So when we got the guys in, we could say, hey, customers are saying this. Do you want to be that? Do you want to be better than that? And let them set the bar. So let the customer and the internal people drive everything. You just facilitate, and then once they've built it, then you just spend the next 100 years amplifying it.
Well, one of the projects that we have worked on, and Joel was the front runner of driving this, is to be the best looking paint store in Australia. Yes, was that the goal? To be the best looking. What was the
goal? The goal for me was to be the best paint store in the world, and to have a store which gave customers the very best shopping experience, number one. 2, sold the most high margin product. And 3, was really efficient in operations.
So talk about that. It's called the CFX upgrade.
Yeah, so it stands for customer first experience. So it's a really cool story. It's the best thing I've ever done in my career. I love it so much. This project's like my baby. So in 2018, one of my staff and I realized that we're getting really good CSAT, customer satisfaction scores, and good NPS scores, net promoter scores. But there was a bunch of anecdotal feedback. Didn't show up in a number, just the words that people write on the surveys. Yeah, it was 8 out of 10. It was good, but the store's messy. The store's cluttered. The store's tired. The store's confusing. I didn't know where I could go and couldn't go. And we scratched the surface because we didn't want it. We were like, no, our scores are great. This must be a anomaly. But then we no, let's look at it. And we pulled all the data. And it was like pulling like a dam burst. And it was actually huge amounts of people. And what we worked out is that customers loved us because our staff were good, the advice was good, and the products were good. Everything else was shit, so the stores were dusty and dirty and cluttered, and there was shit everywhere. There's no signage, no wayfinding, no color coding. There's big cans of paint everywhere, and the samples were old and tired and dirty, and it's a hot mess. Hadn't been done for decades. So we were like, oh crap, we got to fix this. And so we compiled, we did some research. We got our market researcher to spend 60 hours interviewing trade and retail customers in the store, walking around the store going, what do you hate about this? What do you love about this? Men, women, retail, trade, metro, regional, all different types, 60 hours of interviews. And then from that, the researcher said, here's the 30 pain points, the things that people hate shopping in your store. We were like, it's a bitter pill to swallow. You got to have your big boy pants
Very
on.
humbling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we set about coming up with a store design, working with an interior architect to solve every single one of those pain points. And a lot of them were, just wayfinding and color coding and having a separate back of house from front of house, and not having dead end aisles, not having no-go zones. I remember going into one store and saying, where's your concrete paving paint? And he's like, oh, it's down that aisle. See at the end there, under the cobweb, in the shadows, under the bottom shelf in the dark there. And I'm like, oh yeah, do you sell much of that? He's like, nah, I don't know why. And I'm like, I fucking know why. And so we designed the store to bring all the high margin paint products like your concrete, your marine, your metal, your decorative effects, your wood care, all to be showcased at the front of the store. And we split it into a back of house and a front of house. So everything front of house is a bit more neat and performative, and everything back of house is a bit more noisy and messy, tinting, paint, unloading forklifts, etc. Line of sight throughout the whole store, wayfinding, zones, flows, color coding, categorization.
I did notice such a difference walking into your store first time after. It just felt more open. It felt like from the front of the store, you could see everything.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was kind of like around the corner back here, like
Feng shui.
you felt like you had to go and ask someone
Correct.
first.
That's what the customers told us.
Well, that's how we built the store.
Yeah.
So initially, the objective was for us to actually be at the front, and you would have to come to us first to actually go through an experience.
Yeah.
I think what we let ourselves down in that customers also like to go on their own quest. They want to read certain things. They want to learn about things. There's different customer types.
And as soon as you're already taken by one customer, that second customer is lost.
Agree. So that was happening in store where, we were caught up with, Mrs. Smith picking colours for her house and, trying to spend as much time as we can. I've got Johnny in the back there that needs to get in and get out, and I couldn't get to him, or it doesn't give him a chance to go and shop. So, I was all for it. My store was actually one of the best looking stores in the country before this.
True.
I'd spent a lot of time and effort in the way we positioned our shelving. I'd upgraded to I bought really great looking shelving. So we didn't have a problem in that respect. But once I saw this at conference, when you first rolled this out, we had basically a 3D model that Joel presented with a store live we could walk into at this particular conference. I fell in love. And there was a bit of pushback, would you say, from some store owners?
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't want to spend.
It's change, man.
Yeah.
So in business, like I'm an old dude now, but I reckon one of the biggest lessons I've learned is change and fear. They're the two things that hold all businesses back. And people hate change. And when they're scared of something, be it a drop in sales or be it whatever, we're humans, we go crazy. We do irrational things when we're scared. And all of a sudden, we're spending stupid money on stupid things that we would never normally have done because we were scared. And I've just seen it happen over and over and over. So anyway, back to this, a lot of change. We've always had 10 pallets of 15-litre cans right on the floor in front of the counter. It has to be that way. We've always had roller covers on a wall. They can't possibly be on a floor bay. They need to be on a wall bay. We've always had tinting here. We've always had colour there. So it's just like, if in your business you ever ask someone, why do we do it like that? And their answer is because we've always done it like that. It's like the worst answer ever. Like that answer sucks. So
Generational,
It is.
Yeah.
It actually is. Because a lot of the talking lineage of the paint, of the inspirations, the stores are similar where there are many members who their fathers was the first to open the shop and then they've passed down to their sons and whatnot. So it's gone down the generation and that's just the way that they've always done it.
Yeah.
You know,
And they also feel like they're losing a bit of them being the main person in the business. All of a sudden, you've got someone telling you this is how you need to run your
well,
business.
here's the problem. You got a marketing guy then coming in
Yeah.
telling us that we need to change our shop, which we know how to sell
Yeah.
paint, right? So a lot of the guys had to get out of their own way.
Well, let's go to that. Let's go to the renos. After the renos were rolled out, how much of a difference did it make to Inspirations Paint and sales?
And how do you, I guess, look at the investment versus the return?
What sort of impact?
So, this is a lot as well. So, yes, financial things I'll talk about in a minute. Customer reactions and satisfactions I'll talk about. You know, one of the most unexpected consequences of this program, employees' satisfaction. They're like, I've had employees ring me in tears going, thank you for our new shop. I love it. It's such a nicer place to work. It used to be horrible and it's so much easier now. I know where everything is. I can find it. So employee satisfaction was huge. It's easier now. It used to take us 3 hours to unload the Dulux truck when it came in 12 pallets. Now it's only 45 minutes because we know where everything goes. You put in pallet racking, you did this, you did that. So that's the first one. The second benefit is from customers. I've had the 7-foot Serbian painter that comes over and he looks like he's going to crush your brain, but he shakes your hand and goes, good paint shop. And I've had
Dulux is good.
the bloke at Penrith, the painter with his, crack hanging out of his pants, face tats, long hair, looks like he hasn't showered in a month. And he's like, about time you clean this shit all up. So
you're getting it on both sides of the spectrum.
they love it. They love it. And then when you start to see a 17% average increase in sales of our accessory items, so all our application preparation accessories that have big margins, there's more margins in small paintbrushes than there is in big cans of paint.
And you said they were traditionally out the back.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
In dump in somewhere where you had to scurry through them. It was bad.
15 bays of roller covers. And when we interviewed Mrs. Smith, she's just like, I just don't know what I'm looking at and I'm so intimidated, I'm just going to leave.
Might be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now we've got information on roller covers, the fabric, the project you're using for. These ones are for doors and windows. These ones are for textured brick. These ones are for walls and ceilings. When you have one that's for walls and ceilings, these are the fabrics. Here's the nap length. Here's the length. It's a complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And so exactly as you said, Ron, so you got 4 staff on, the 5th customer walks in, they're self-serving. And we're not a self-service business. So people accuse me, you're trying to make us self-service by putting all this information and signage up. No. That's a sales tool. So she reads it. And then when Ben's finished and comes over and he tells her the same information, that builds trust. And he can point to the fabrics and nap lengths and what he's saying is what it's saying, and it all makes sense to her. She feels that he's an expert. And our whole thing's about being expert.
Well, then she feels more comfortable as well.
Well, we're very connected to the project. Our slogan is, what's your next project? So when Mrs. Smith walks in, and Mrs. Smith's getting a bit of a run today, but when she walks in and she's browsing through the shop while I'm working with another customer and I walk over to her, sometimes in the past I've had where Mrs. Smith has said, hey, I didn't know you actually sell marine. I'm going to tell my husband because he's got a boat out the back that needs a bit of work. And then, we pick up the extra project, that they weren't thinking of. That product was definitely out the back.
Yeah.
Once upon a time. So
but also, this not only got you recognized in Inspirations Paint, was it shortly after that you were named in the top 50 CMOs? In Australia?
That was a real career highlight. I think it was COVID because I remember the awards ceremony. I was sitting in my shed. But it's maybe 2021. And it was amazing because
you're up against CMOs from Woolworths, Nestle, Google,
Facebook.
The top brands.
Yeah. And look.
That's massive.
I've got to try and sound humble, but it was a really big
That's
thing.
massive, mate. To Inspirations Paint competing against those big 140 stores compared to 1,000
I'll
stores.
tell you a story. So I'm not going to say the company, but we're all online, and they had this cool online tool where you were like in a waiting room and you're at a virtual table like this. So out of the 100 or the 50 winners that were there was like 10 tables of 5, and you were meeting virtually before it started. And one of the biggest brands in the world was there, and I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Joel. What's your name?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm so and so from this big company that everyone knows." And she talked about herself a lot, and then she's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, "Inspirations Paint." She just brushed me, right? I don't know who that is. And then she ended up coming like 47th, and I came 9th or 10th or whatever it was. It felt good because the reason I was there was not because I'm good, just because we pay attention to the customer, pay really close attention, extract insights that inform your strategy, enact the strategy, makes it good for the customer, and we make more money. That's the goal.
I have I love marketing. And I think over the years, I realized I enjoyed marketing because of the human behavior element to it. How much of this on a larger scale with Inspirations is human behavior?
All of it.
And what can you talk about that?
So people go, "Oh, marketing's just common sense. You don't need a degree or to be trained in that. I can be a marketer, blah, blah, blah." And you're like, "Oh, yeah." And then the thing is, there's a bunch of human behavior. We talk about the black box between our two ears. Really irrational, really counterintuitive. So, Mercedes is never on sale because people have a thing called, social status. No one's going to go to their fancy golf club and go, "Guess what? I got 45% off my new Series 7 Mercedes." Like, why are you chasing a bargain? It's a status symbol. So people are all built differently. And a lot of people out there are price sensitive and some aren't. And I'm not. Like, I want the Italian canned tomatoes, not the 99-cent ones, But as a marketer, you have to be agnostic to that. So the understanding the fact that there's different types of people and their social status will have more importance to them than their rational fiscal status. And some people who are rational think everyone's rational, because that's the way we operate as humans. We project our own beliefs onto everyone. So the key to being a marketer is to try and be agnostic and not let your own, ways that you are, don't project that onto customers that don't actually feel like that.
That's interesting.
So price is a massive one. So every year, the members will come, we call the franchisees members, will come to us, one of them, and go, "We need some product that's at a cheaper price level. We need sharper pricing. We need to be able to talk to customers' price." And every bit of research we've done when we've asked customers about how important price is, it's not in the top 3. Sometimes it's not even in the top 10. And so last month we went and scraped all our Google reviews, productreview.com.au, Trustpilot, all our reviews. So for the good reviews and all the complaints, and specifically we scraped all the complaints and we grouped them into groups, and pricing was not in the top 5 complaints. So we're able to go back to the members. It's not Joel saying it. It's like, your customers don't care about price as much as you do. And I know you're a tight ass in your real life, mate, but your customers aren't.
And you're projecting this shit on me. It's not even like that. The data says this.
Yes. So be agnostic. Let the data tell the story. It's really critical.
Now, from a marketing point of view, COVID hits. You've got all these grand scheme of things, all of a sudden COVID's hit. Everyone's at home. Do you change your marketing? Do you increase marketing? Does Inspirations Paint not want to put as much money into marketing?
Man, it was wild, wasn't it? It's 5 years ago now, and at the time we were all terrified, right? It was really scary. And we just wanted to be there to support the stores. We didn't know if stores were going to be allowed to open or not. 3 things I'll talk about. One is, luckily, the 12th of December 2019, 3 months before it hit, we'd just finished and launched our e-commerce website. Now, before that, and Bunnings did the same at the same time, you couldn't buy a can of Dulux wash and wear online anywhere in Australia before that. So just because people just assume you could, because I could buy pizzas and air tickets and Ubers, not paint. So Mitre 10 had a e-commerce website that said if you buy a can of wash and wear today, you can come and click and collect it within 14 days. That was their promise. Yeah, well, we launched 2-hour click and collect.
Yeah.
Okay. Bunnings was next day. So our website was kick-ass. We had 3,000 products on there. We had 100,000 colours on there. Bunnings had 100 colours and maybe 1,000 products. So it was a really good website. But as soon as lockdowns happened, the website saved a lot of stores that had to close their doors. So we went from doing, I can't tell you the numbers, but in terms of magnitude, 25 times more sales a day through the website than what we were doing pre-COVID.
Yeah, wow. Is that 25 times in sales as opposed to walk-in customers for inspirations before?
25 times on the actual platform itself. You got to understand, traditionally, you would never have bought paint like that.
Yeah.
It was always an in-store conversation.
Yeah, you're just looking to go into the store.
100%.
Yeah.
So
you weren't about to buy paint on there.
No. It was very innovative at the time. And with the promise that we all agreed on, that it was going to be a 2-hour contactless, basically, approach to how we sold paint. So we moved quickly as a group. We executed, and it was phenomenal.
And then what happened was the store owners came to us and said, people want delivery, guys. Your website doesn't do delivery. So we did a 27-day sprint. And by that, I mean the web developers writing code to allow delivery to happen on the website. They turned it around in 27 days. That project would have taken 6 months, 3 months, 4 months normally. So we just pivoted really hard. Yeah. And then, millions of dollars have gone through that website since. But post-lockdown, people don't want to buy paint online and they want to come in.
That's right, yeah.
The store.
Yeah. Crazy change of between those times for us as a store.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to offer personal attention to your painting project online. If we had the most advanced generative AI bots, maybe they could be almost as good, but we don't yet. I'm sure we will down the track. But
I actually wrote here AI. I want to bring up AI with you and what you think is the future of AI.
Mm-hmm. Look, I reckon the first thing that AI should do is help you with back-end stuff, non-customer facing stuff. So for a marketer like me, it might be writing briefs. For an ad agency, I've already written hundreds of briefs before, so I can just have my LLM, large language module, and I can API it to the 50 briefs that I've written before and put in a prompt to say, hey, write me a brief for this water bottle brand Fratel. And the main thing is it's organic and vegan and gluten-free, and use all the info from the other 50 briefs, and it's written in a minute. It would normally take me an hour to write that. So use it internally first. Get good at using the prompts. Get good at locking down your language model so you're not putting your company secrets into the ether. And then look at using it for customer-facing things, because bots and that are hard to do well. And you don't want to give the customers the wrong information. You don't want to not be able to answer their question. So look, the pace of AI is just going along so hard, and I'm not an expert in it by any means, but you can see the use of AI agents now where they're getting AI, they call them agents, which are these, they can be voices or they can be just taking actions where they can actually do transactions and make decisions along the way.
Depending on how you answer a question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in financial services, it might be completely different, but they know to ask the questions about the superannuation, the insurance, and the shares, and the SMSF and whatnot, and then they can direct you towards this and that and the other, and you're out of a job. But no, you're not.
I've got a couple of advisors that are just utilizing themselves to send out messages to their clients, and it's just them doing a 1-2 second clip of them standing there, and all of a sudden it's them talking. And then if the person asks any questions, they've input information to a certain degree of answering back.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I see it as a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool that we will all be using in the future, and many of us are using it already.
But there's still a long way to go.
It's long way to go. It's not going to replace every job. It might replace some. I wouldn't be scared of it. It's really just about start using it. Just start today using it. It's free, ChatGPT or whatever, and start using it behind the scenes so that you're not giving a bad experience to customers until you get good at it.
Interesting you said that, because I've spoken to a few marketing people, in the last 12 months, and some of them are quite scared of AI for them in your industry.
I'm not. I mean, there's always the shiny new thing, The internet was pretty scary,
sure.
but it's a tool. The guys that sold radio advertising were shit scared when TV launched in 1956, it's no different. So it's about just adapting, utilizing it.
And showing more of your skill set, right? In terms of, like you said, marketing is just not what people perceive it to be. There's a lot more that goes in it, doing the shop fit outs and everything like that. If you're just the average person that's doing social media content, then you might be worried.
I think people will naturally evolve with the tools.
Yeah, utilizing it with what they do, making AI work, because AI can take away from making an investment portfolio. So, but can they be there when something goes wrong? How do you pivot if the share market falls? If Trump tweets about something, it's the actions that come after it. Yeah, you Trump them.
Always those little jabs at me.
They argue.
I heard once, just to finish on AI, I heard a cool thing yesterday at a conference where they said, imagine a business that is 100% AI. There's no people in it, right? It might be 5 years, 15 years into the future. And imagine it in your own industry. And imagine what that looks like. And then kind of start working backwards from that about the things that one would need to do in order to one day get there, and think about the things that are going to have the most impact, and maybe trial AI with that in mind, that you have an end game, which is you could be, Megan could be sitting in the Caribbean and all the gyms are working and all the paint stores are working without you.
Well, we're very fortunate, a couple of our businesses are front facing, and I think that's what I love about them, that you actually, although we have implemented AI in certain things of our businesses and we are using some tools,
it's being there, the handshake, eye contact.
Yeah, it's the face-to-face value that people
You can get robots. You can get robots for that in the future. I reckon.
Yeah, look,
it could have you with a Segway and a screen of you rolling up. Here's the paint section over here.
They said, I was reading somewhere or I listened to it somewhere where they predict I think within the next 5 to 10 years, there will be the world's first solo billionaire company owner, where one person owns $1 billion company because he's built the shit out of it from AI.
Look, we're definitely moving in that direction.
As in no people in that business.
No people. It's one owner, built the shit out of the company through AI, and it's turned into $1 billion company. They're predicting something like that in the next 5 to 10 years or so.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Joel, you've played many hats, as Ron just alluded to. A normal head of marketing probably doesn't get to do store relays and negotiations with Dulux on pricing or like everything, basically. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really a marketing job, But you've taken responsibility, ownership, and a step towards always trying to assist the group. Where do you see yourself in the next 21 years? Like, are you still aligned to the mission of what we're trying to achieve as a group? I know it's a heavy hitting question, but.
Well, firstly, what am I, 48? So I'll be retired in 21 years. If I'm not, come and karate chop me. But to your point, we got acquired. So the franchise of Inspirations Paint, the head office, the franchisor got acquired by Dulux 2.5 years ago. And Dulux is owned by Nippon Paint, fourth largest paint company in the world, multi-billion-dollar company. I don't know how many, 30, 50,000 employees around the world.
Yeah.
Dulux itself has over 9,000 employees now. So we're part of that, which is really cool. And there's a lot of opportunity in that. And I love the company and I love my job. But my kids are, one's at uni, one's in year 11. So maybe in the future, I could look at taking a role in Dulux Group outside of Inspirations Paint, potentially even overseas. You know, I'm learning Italian. So yeah, molto bene. I need your help. But
Probably teach him Italian.
Yeah. He's just a poser. He doesn't.
Oh, AI it.
Facaldo oggi.
Okay. We just met.
It just got personal.
It just means it's hot today.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's hot in here. We've got to wrap this up.
We apologise
Yeah.
for that.
So what? Yeah.
So where do I see myself? Look, I don't really know. I would love to get on some boards in the future. There's not enough CX, like customer experience and marketing people on boards. It's mainly lawyers and finance people that don't have great amounts of creativity and imagination.
Strategy.
And often to get the step jumps in business, you need to, especially in advertising, creativity is vital. Rational ads don't work as hard as creative ads. It's been emphatically proven over and over. So and customer first. You know, look at the RTA when we were kids growing up. The RTA was this horrible, depressing beige place. You'd go, you'd take a book, you'd spend half a day waiting in line. Everyone was grumpy. You'd get terrible service. Service New South Wales is amazing.
So fresh.
Yeah, it's
So much of a
changed.
fresh view.
It's like the Apple Store of government agencies.
Yeah.
And the guy that did that, I met him yesterday, the Honourable ex-MP Victor Donnelly or something like that. He was the Minister for Customer Experience in the New South Wales government. No other government in the world has ever had a Minister for Customer Experience.
Yeah.
And he created Fuel Watch, remember that website? And then he created, not by himself, but with his team, Service New South Wales. They've won awards.
Yeah, wow.
It's amazing. So I would love to take my CX and marketing and get on board
Showcase
and
it.
help
Awesome.
companies become
Yeah.
more customer-centric.
That's great.
Can I sort of wrap it up going this way now? With all this information at scale, we're talking Inspirations Paint, we're talking strategy, we're talking looking into the data, we're talking speaking to all the business owners involved in Inspirations Paint. How can we summarize all this and provide value to small and medium-sized business owners? How can we summarize this conversation and what's...
In 30 seconds, do all that.
Yeah. Look, it's incredibly hard. I think small business owners have the hardest job because in corporate, we have all these resources and people and dollars and everything. And so you've got to be a master of all of it for your business that might be turning over 5 mil or 1 mil or half a mil or whatever. And all I would say is from a marketing perspective, I'll go back to what I said before, just focus on the customer. Who are they? What do they need? What are their wants and needs and desires? What do they like? What do they hate? Find out where that matches with your offering and the business. Understand your business authentically. Don't bullshit yourself that you're one thing when you're not. What are you good at? What are customer? And if you don't know, just ask your most loyal, high profit customers why they love you. Just go to your most regular customers that spend the most with you and make you the most money and go, why do you shop with us? And that is what your essence is. And then amplify the hell out of that in every way you can.
Yeah, I love that. Joel, in the interest of time, mate, you know, obviously we could talk to you for hours. You know, this type of stuff often comes up in conversation just between us, you know, off camera, where we're trying to work out exactly what our customer needs from us, you know, and we always in business are trying to deliver the best possible value, you know, and, you know, small, medium, large business, I think that the message is pretty clear that it's about the customer and the customer's experience, no matter what business you're in. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Mate. We really appreciate you coming out. But we do wrap up the show in a certain way, which we're going to do.
Yeah.
All right, so
And hopefully Ben's taken out that question that
so I'll keep it less raunchy.
we keep it. Now we're going to the personal side of Joel.
Yeah, so Joel, what we do, we like to ask some
Or we can start with that question.
quick fire
If you're a
questions.
snack, what would you be?
Wait, hold that thought. You ruined my questions. All right, so what we want to do is just shoot some quick fire questions just to find out who exactly is Joel. So ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So beach or country?
Beach.
First car?
It was a Mitsubishi. I called it Freudy. What was it? It was a shitbox. I can't remember.
Was it a
It was
Mirage?
red. No, it was a 1980 Mitsubishi.
Lancer.
No, not a Lancer. I'll have to get back to you.
Mirage?
Yeah.
Did you say Mirage?
We'll send that in.
Mirage, not
That was
Mirage.
mine.
Sigma. A Sigma.
Oi,
Oh,
Sigma. Yeah, the
Sigma.
old Sigma. Favorite sport?
Football.
What team do you follow?
Arsenal.
Nice.
Oh, that football. Okay.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Favorite cheap meal?
Did you say cheap or cheap?
Cheat.
We don't worry about pricing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
price
not,
is
we're not
not-
talking
Yeah,
price.
price is not-
Started off the cheap.
It's a customer
Ah,
experience.
a dirty big smash burger.
I thought you
Yes.
said kebab.
Bucket list. Something you want to do.
Machu Picchu.
Ooh.
That will be cool.
We asked this on a longer scale, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully living and working in the paint industry in Italy.
That's genuinely the goal.
Yeah, Dulux owns business there.
Mm.
A couple of businesses there.
And we actually, you guys went on a conference
Yeah,
to Italy.
Mm.
Is that where you open your eyes up to that? Or?
yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. Pet peeve of yours, something that gives you the shit.
People that break before they indicate.
Ooh.
It's very specific. I feel
Or
like it
break
happens-
while they're indicating.
That
They're
happens.
trying to get, and there's so much space.
Tell me what you're doing before you do it, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yes.
it happened to you on
Yeah,
the way
that
here.
literally happened. It was too quick to answer.
That was front of mine. That was front of mine.
At a party, I think I know this one. At a party, do you dance or are you a people watcher? I'm going to answer that for you because he's on the dance floor 100%.
Oh,
Probably with me and a
yeah.
few other of the
That's
store
it.
owners after a few drinks. What's a guilty pleasure TV show no one knows you watch?
Ink Master.
Ah, okay.
And I'm a clean skin.
Yeah, you got that
Yeah.
ink.
Yeah.
I could see you be covered in tats though. You've got the look.
I
Yeah.
might have to consult Ben on this. Is sick.
Every marketer, you need the mustache and the thing. Anyway, we'll work on it. Unusual superstition.
Oh, I'm not sure I have any.
Mm.
No, I got no. I don't believe in superstitions.
Two more. This is the one. Because this, if you were a snack, what would you be, Joel?
Portuguese tart.
That was also front of mind. You must have thought about it. But give him a heads up.
No, you didn't tell me about that
Yeah.
one. I just love Portuguese tarts.
Yeah.
And last one. Do you have a favorite quote? You have a favorite quote?
Oh, it's only a piss take one though.
Mm.
It's like, from The Simpsons. There was that guy, Troy McClure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such films as Smoke Yourself Thin and Get Smart, Stupid.
That was a pretty good impersonation.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I thought I was hearing.
That was epic.
Picture Troy McClure.
Yeah. I haven't pictured that guy
Yeah.
in years.
Good old Simpsons.
Great.
Pat, wrap it up.
Okay, last question. We finish up every podcast episode with this one question. If you were to take out 3 people from to dinner, and these 3 people could be from the history of humanity or your present life, who would those 3 people be and why?
Well, family first, but I always take them out. So 3 people would be Anthony Bourdain, Martin Tyler, and Robert Plant. So food, football, and music. So
He's got this prepared.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you gave me this
Oh,
question,
yes,
so I thought about it.
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain, the author of Kitchen Confidential, went on to go around the world cooking and eating in all these cultures. Amazing guy. Definitely him. Martin Tyler is the Premier League commentator who was also commentated for SBS the last 8 World Cups since 1990 or something.
That's
And I
interesting.
love football. He's got that great British
Yeah, it's
voice and he just knows everything.
You probably got the questions lined up as well for what you want to ask at the dinner.
Oh, without a doubt. And Robert Plant, lead singer of Led Zeppelin, my favorite band, just 1967, 68, 69, just an incredible moment in global history with free love movement and Woodstock and all of that stuff. I'd love to hear
There'll be
about
some
it.
stories there. Well, Joel, thank you, mate.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. We do wrap up the show in a similar way. And we would just want you to look down the barrel on 3 and say, let's connect. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's connect.
Let's
Alrighty.
go. Thank you, Joel Goodsir.
Thanks,
We're out.
mate.
Thank you.
See you.
We made this a free platform because we want to educate and add value to your business world. All we ask for as a payment is to hit the subscribe button and share it with people that you know would benefit from this conversation. If you want to elevate your connections, we'll see you at the next Connect MacArthur event.